We're going to go over the passage I'm passing out, and we're going to individually go over some notes. And again, I'll explain this to you here in a second. Then we're going to break into groups and define the words that are italicized in this passage in context, after which we will check how close you actually got to the definition of the word, and then we will put together a paragraph in groups. Each group is going to be responsible for one paragraph using some of these. Because, again, what we're doing today is we're learning vocabulary in context. Now, what do I mean by learning vocabulary in context? That may have been where I lost you before. Yeah, Carly?
Like reading it and like trying to see like how it's said and what it's said with.
Yeah. You remember when we did our creative writing thing the other day, we were looking for connections between things, right? Context is the same thing as using connections, all right? So when you come across a word that's used in a book that you don't know, be honest. What's your ordinarily? What do you do?
Dictionary.
Honestly,
Dictionary.
you skip over it, right? I mean, let's be honest. That's what most of us do. We just skip it and we say, "Well, it's not that important. Maybe I don't really need to know that word." If you had to figure out that word, what would you do other than a dictionary?
Look at the words around it.
Exactly. You would look at the words surrounding it. If there was, a lot of times what writers will do is they'll sort of pair up adjectives or they'll pair up descriptions so that it looks like, so that it sort of furthers a definition. What you can do is you can use the context of that second definition or that second description to sort of give you an idea of what that word is. And I want everybody making notes, because what you're going to do is when we break up into our groups, you're going to take the notes that you've made into that group, and that group is going to kind of come up with a working definition for each of those words, even though you don't know those words. Some of you may know, but and the group's going to use that working definition to create new sentences. Okay? So this is the individual part, then we'll be in groups. Make sense? Yes? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The House Where Nobody Lives. That's a song by a guy named Tom Waits. Really good. It is natural for us to remember. Remembering is the only way to connect parts of our lives to each other. For some, the need to remember may seem a detriment to their existence. It's not supposed to be there. It sneaks around mental corners of their minds, harming their abilities to progress in life, forcing them to deviate from their long-considered plans and dreams. Memory, to be sure, can have a deleterious effect on a person. We'll pause, jot down a few notes. What do you think it is? One of your groups, obviously you all know who your team leader is. That person is going to be responsible for taking all of your ideas. That person's responsibility is taking all your ideas, what everybody has made notes on, sort of coming up with one definition. Okay, they're going to be the one who is responsible for putting everything together. And then there's going to be one person who is a recorder who is going to write down all your working definitions and sentences for your group. Okay. Now you see on the handout, the second page is in fact a list of these words, right? Every group is going to complete one list of words. Okay. The idea here is that you take everybody's ideas and mold it into one idea. All right, one final answer for what that word means, and you're going to use it in context. Okay, so we'll do detriment together just to, since we already sort of started that one. I've heard a bunch of different ideas of what detriment means. And they were, again, I remember burden. I remember, Christian, what was yours? Something you have to do. And then Jade, what was yours? Distraction. Okay. So, if I'm team leader and I have these three definitions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work up sort of a definition, okay? And it can look basically like this. It can be like burden, semicolon, distraction. That's a working definition, all right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to take that word and you're going to plug it into a sentence.
Eloquent is a word though.
I know eloquent is a word.
Alright, well, it's a word.
I put sophisticated.
It's eloquent.
Where are we at?
Like a chip.
I'm going to say social, but then you have social. So,
Oh, yeah.
like
Daryl.
Put sophisticated and
Canceling out.
Why?
Hold
What
on,
are you
wait.
going to put for it?
We can put more than one.
Dude, I have no idea what to put for the next one.
Sometimes you gotta go back and define what the word is, right? So everything up until that point.
It's either one or the other.
Yeah, guys, one or the other. Can't read both.
I put
If I pick A and B on one,
You can pick all the above, King.
without a choice, that's an A or B.
That is
So the question is,
Because the life fails to.
If I take them or collaborate.
so the question is,
Yeah. Quick sentence.
Thrown together. It's not right. Oh, that's a good one. Invested. He was so diagnostic.
I can't find out what
I know, and it seemed like she was so
I didn't put it in there for you.
I put result because, wait, where's it? It says then when I was 37, he was given a...
Alright guys, in a couple of minutes you ought to have definitions, working definitions for all 15 so you can start doing sentences. Yeah.
Outcome, something.
Yeah.
Does that mean like you're not result?
Has nothing to do with
Okay, cool.
Their range,
Yeah.
their range
Yeah.
I want to think about putting out of like
Correct. You're actually not.
Does it mean like,
Have you ever heard, I'll give you an example. You know the word flammable? What is flammable?
depleted
Loss and
What is inflammable mean?
decreasing, loss and decreasing.
That's for depleted.
Sometimes a prefix will not doesn't necessarily indicate the word. Sometimes it actually.
And then depleted, I put removed.
so it means about.
Decreasing?
So,
I know what
So,
decreasing.
decreasing.
Ooh, I have a perfect J.
and walked out of the room.
It's somebody that if you watch television in the middle of the afternoon, you see a bunch of shows that feature these people. It depends. Okay.
I know, I feel like it's a word.
Yeah, that's good too. It's like a judgment that has like has an element of like being yeah. Okay. But remember, I mean, if you're diagnosing something, you are making a judgment call, right? You're saying it is this thing. You're defining what it is. To some extent, right now, you are diagnosing the definition.
It's very hard.
Of course, the easiest way to do it.
I am military is whenever it comes to study.
You're right.
Oh, I thought we said it was for you.
That's what I thought we said.
And there we go. And there's our answer.
So to be like, no, not that. Okay, but you said, you know, I'm sorry, those commercials come in my head like the everything, like refer friend, like to add them.
But he didn't say that refer was.
I know, but
He said when you first,
Deeper.
yeah.
opposite meaning.
Debonair, yeah. Alright, so debonair.
Okay, you gotta keep in mind, usually when during those words, usually when there's like a definition, it can still
What
fit to
details
the
go into
sentence. If you put like,
description of the dad?
after some time, it gets to give up to it.
People are jealous of him. That's sort of follow.
So surrender.
Alright. So, let's look at these 5 or 6 that we've got up here. Alright. So number 1 is decrepit. Group 1, what was your working definition for that word? What did you come down to?
Creepy.
Creepy.
Or old and worn.
Old is good. Anybody else? Did anybody else pull anything out of weak?
For what?
What else? Broken down, yeah. Shh, y'all. Up here. Quiet. Broken down, yeah, Ashley. Feeble. Yeah. Decrepit. Decrepit implies a couple of things. The first one.
Dilapidated.
Oh my heavens. That's perfect. That is so perfect.
Is that even a word?
Decrepit implies two things. One, old. Two, rheumatic. Last thing we got to do, and this is sort of the ultimate final assessment sort of thing. I want you to take 5 that you're very familiar with, and I'm going to trust you on this honor code. They have to be words you didn't know before. Okay? I want you to take 5 words that you did not know and create a paragraph about the length of what's on the back of your packet. At least 5 or 6 sentences about anything you want. It can be about anything you want. If it's funny, that's great. If it's goofy, that's great. But it has to be 2 things. 1, inclusive of those 5 words. And 2, grammatically and syntax-wise, addition-wise, correct. Okay? So every group gives me 1 paragraph. You have until 3:05. Off you go. Now I need to tell you, I am going to ask you to share these.
I'm not reading.
I'll read it.
I am going to ask you to share them. So
I'll read.
there you go.
Can't be too.
Well, then they cut that one.
Yeah.
Caddo was a very debonair young man. He had such dexterity that everyone liked him. One day he bought a house that was very decrepit. This house was very dangerous and deleterious. It was falling apart on the inside and the wallpaper was peeling. The stairway had caved in and there were holes in the ceiling, not to mention the house was in a very derelict neighborhood. After months of trying to remodel this decrepit house, the man decided that it was too much trouble and it was time to sell the house.
Nice. Very good. Give you some detail on that one, too. You had an article in there that didn't belong, but that's okay. I did a good job. 5.
Can I read it in a British accent?
Sure.
If you call it. We don't have to know.
One person's gonna.
Okay. Listen.
Off you go.
Alright. The girl they were arguing about was it?
Okay, I can't understand you. Start over.
Okay. The girl they were arguing about was a detriment to everyone around her. The couple had been trying to deter the situation for a while now. They didn't know whether to deviate or try to work things out. The argument was devoid of understanding. They finally decided to defer from the relationship being.
Very good. All right. Before we go, everybody, you're going to rip off a little piece of paper, whatever you have in front of you, anything you don't need to turn in, rip off a little piece. Write down 1 word out of the 15 that we've done today that you plan on using for the next couple of days a few times. And tell me how you're going to use it. So if you say, I like the word derelict, I'm going to use it to describe, I don't know, like my chest of drawers in my room or something like that to my folks. However you want to do it, right? The word you like the most and how you plan to use it over the next couple of days. Sure, you can rip off a piece, and that's fine. Because I need 1 from every group.